Western Horizons by Audrey Sinclair. The old town of Rosewood, nestled deep in the Arizona Territory, was a place where the air was thick with the scent of sagebrush, and the horizon burned amber at dusk. In the midst of this rugged frontier lay a small ranch owned by Clara Winslow, a spirited woman in her late 20s. With her sharp green eyes and fiery determination, Clara had earned her reputation as the finest horse trainer in the territory, a title that had not come easily in a world dominated by men. Clara's ranch, modest but thriving, sat on the edge of the town, bordered by rolling pastures and a winding creek. She had inherited the property from her father, a man whose lessons of resilience had shaped her character. Her life was a rhythm of early mornings and long days, her hands calloused from work but her spirit unbroken. Yet, there were whispers among the townsfolk, perhaps Clara spent too much time alone. They wondered if she'd ever find someone to share her life with. But Clara dismissed such notions. She had her horses and her land. What more could she need? One late summer afternoon, as Clara guided her newest stallion through a series of exercises, a stranger rode into town. Samuel Carter, a tall man with a weathered face and piercing blue eyes, carried an air of mystery about him. His arrival was quiet but not unnoticed. Samuel had come seeking a fresh start, carrying little more than his saddle and a worn guitar slung across his back. A former Union soldier turned wanderer, he had heard tales of Rosewood's open lands and opportunity. Samuel's path crossed Clara's when he sought work at the general store, where Clara happened to be collecting supplies. Their first encounter was anything but smooth. "You're blocking the oats," Clara said, her tone brisk as she pointed to the sack Samuel was standing in front of. He turned, tipping his hat with a faint smirk. "My apologies. Didn't mean to hinder your mission." Clara raised an eyebrow but said nothing more. As she paid for her goods, she couldn't shake the feeling that Samuel was studying her, though not in the way most men did. There was curiosity in his gaze, not condescension. She left the store without another word, her thoughts unexpectedly lingering on the stranger. The days passed, and Samuel found work helping the town's blacksmith. His skill with tools and horses made him invaluable, and it wasn't long before his name was on everyone's lips. Clara, however, kept her distance. She had no time for idle chatter or men with smooth smiles. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. A storm swept through Rosewood one evening, its fury tearing through barns and scattering livestock. Clara's ranch bore the brunt of it, with fences down and her prized mare, Daisy, missing. As dawn broke, Clara saddled up and began searching the countryside, her worry mounting with every passing hour. She found Daisy trapped in a ravine, her leg tangled in a length of wire. Clara dismounted, her heart sinking as she assessed the situation. The mare was spooked and in pain, and Clara knew she couldn't free her alone. "Need a hand?" came a voice from behind. Clara turned sharply to find Samuel, his horse standing a few paces back. He had been riding out to assess the storm's damage when he spotted her. "I've got it under control," Clara replied, though the strain in her voice betrayed her. Samuel dismounted, his movements slow and deliberate. "Looks like she's tangled pretty good. Let me help." Without waiting for permission, he knelt beside the mare, his hands deftly working to untangle the wire. Clara watched, her annoyance giving way to reluctant gratitude. Together, they freed Daisy and led her back to the ranch. As they worked to mend the fences that day, an unspoken understanding grew between them. Samuel's quiet strength and Clara's unyielding determination seemed to complement each other, though neither would admit it. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the land in hues of orange and purple, Clara found herself laughing at one of Samuel's dry remarks, a sound she hadn't heard from herself in far too long. Over the weeks that followed, Samuel began stopping by the ranch more frequently. At first, it was under the guise of offering help, but soon it became clear that he enjoyed Clara's company. Clara, for her part, found herself looking forward to his visits, though she tried to hide it. They worked side by side, fixing fences, tending to the horses, and sharing stories of their pasts. Samuel spoke of his time in the war, the friends he had lost, and the aimlessness he had felt since. Clara shared memories of her father and the challenges of running the ranch alone. Their conversations were filled with honesty, the kind that only came from two souls who had seen life's hardships and survived them. One crisp autumn evening, as they sat by the fire pit outside the ranch house, Samuel reached for his guitar. The melody he played was soft and melancholic, weaving through the stillness of the night. Clara listened, her eyes fixed on the flames. When he finished, she broke the silence. "Why do you wander, Samuel? What are you looking for?" He looked at her, his expression thoughtful. "I'm not sure," he admitted. "But maybe I've found it here." The weight of his words hung in the air, and for the first time, Clara felt the walls she had built around her heart begin to crack. Still, she wasn't ready to let them crumble entirely. "Don't go getting any ideas," she said with a small smile, though her tone lacked its usual edge. Winter arrived, blanketing Rosewood in frost. Samuel became a fixture at the ranch, helping Clara prepare for the harsher months. Their bond deepened, though it remained unspoken. It wasn't until the annual town dance that everything came to a head. Clara had no intention of attending, but the townsfolk and Samuel had other ideas. "You work too hard," he told her. "One night won't hurt." Reluctantly, she agreed, allowing herself to be persuaded into wearing a dress for the first time in years. When Samuel saw her that evening, his breath caught. Clara, usually clad in work clothes, looked radiant. The sight stirred something in him he couldn't ignore. They danced together under the lanterns strung across the town square, the music and laughter a backdrop to the quiet realization growing between them. As the night wore on, Samuel led Clara away from the crowd to a quiet spot under the stars. "Clara," he began, his voice steady but his eyes searching hers. "I've traveled a long way and seen a lot, but nothing has made me want to stay until now. I want to build a life here, with you, if you'll have me." Clara's heart raced. She had spent so long guarding herself, believing she didn't need anyone. But looking at Samuel, she realized that wanting someone didn't make her weak. It made her human. "You're a stubborn fool, Samuel Carter," she said, a smile breaking across her face. "But I think I'd like that." The months that followed were filled with hard work and joy. Together, they expanded the ranch, bringing new life to the land and each other. Samuel's wandering days were over, and Clara finally allowed herself to share the burden she had carried alone for so long. In the end, it wasn't the rugged beauty of Rosewood or the promise of a fresh start that made Samuel stay. It was Clara, the woman who had taught him that strength came in many forms, and that sometimes letting someone in was the greatest act of courage of all.